What's up everybody? In today's video I'm going to go over Senseonics stock. I figured I'd give you guys an update. We did receive Q3 earnings recently, and we also received a buy rating by H.C. Wainwright with a $2 price target, so we're going to look at that as well. And we do have something interesting going on the chart. So let's get started on this. You know what to do if you like these videos, yada yada yada. Let's take a look at Sens stock. And here's an article with the $2 price target. I'll leave it down below for you, but this price target is by Vernon Bernardino of H.C. Wainwright, and he highlights growth factors, successful commercialization, and optimistic forecast, and gives Senseonics a price target of $2. And the article says that Vernon's buy rating for Senseonics is anchored in several key factors, including operational results for Q3, that showed significant increase in revenue, and we're going to look at that in a second. He also highlights commercial organization in the US and its effective downstream marketing programs as contributing factors to Senseonics growth. And he's also positive about the continued growth of the company going into 2024 by pointing out the increase in Eversense insertions and the coming launch of the 365-day full year sensor in 2024. He also increased his forecast along with the company's new guidance and believes that Senseonics has enough capital to support operations and negate the need for additional capital, meaning dilution, high interest debt. And this analyst does cover the healthcare sector, focusing on stocks like Candle Therapeutics, Cassava Sciences. Let me know if you guys want me to cover Cassava again. I think that was the one that I covered back in 2022. And Cassava is a very interesting stock, very huge fluctuations in price. I honestly haven't looked at it in a while, but I will give it a look here in a future video likely. But this analyst has an average return of 5% and a 25.8% success rate on recommended stocks. Now remember guys, you want to take these analyst recommendations as a pinch of salt or grain of salt and realize that these analysts can be wrong. You always want to do your own research. But next up, let's look over Senseonics earnings results, and then we're going to take a look at the chart. And I will leave their press release down below for you. I'm just going to glance over a couple things and kind of show you guys the general direction this company's been going. And here's some recent highlights and accomplishments. They generated revenue of $6.1 million in the third quarter. They also announced the last patient completion of the 365-day pivotal clinical trial. And I believe I covered that in possibly my last Senseonics video, probably about a month or two ago. They also launched their global commercial partner, Ascensia Diabetes Care, which is a new direct-to-consumer US advertising campaign, and the CGM for real life to increase awareness. And they entered into a $50 million non-dilutive loan facility with Hercules Capital, drew down an additional $25 million of debt, further strengthening their balance sheet. Now we'll go over their revenue again on TradingView, and I can show you some previous quarters and just show you the general trend of their revenue. But this was a good quarter for revenue when looking at year over year and quarter over quarter comparison. So their revenue did grow, but what about their expenses? Third quarter 2023 SG&A increased by $0.1 million year over year to $7.4 million. Their revenue was under $7 million. So SG&A alone overshadows their revenue. It is good to see it not grow more. Looking at their R&D expenses, this increased by $1.8 million to $12.8 million. And their net loss was $24 million compared to a net loss of $60 million in the third quarter of 2022. That's a good improvement. It is nice to see their net loss coming down. And their cash equivalents, short and long-term investments were $125 million, whereas their debt is $45 million. They do have a decent balance sheet. They do have a decent amount of run rate before they have to dilute, before they have to pull out additional debt. And they are guiding their next quarter earnings, or the quarter we're currently in now, as a $7.5 million revenue, which is definitely a good improvement over our recent reported earnings. But you guys can see the general trend in revenue growth. There are some quarters along the way where they dip quarter over quarter. However, when looking year over year, they very consistently grow their revenue. And I want to show you back in 2020, these guys were making under 1 million in revenue. So you can see how much they have grown their revenue, how much they have gotten more patients to try Senseonics CGM. Now you can tell where Senseonics is concerned, it loves to play out patterns. You can see a pattern here. Once we broke it, we had a clear reaction. We had a pattern here. Once we broke it, we had a clear reaction. And we do have another pattern to watch. We have this sideways channel we've been in since August of 2023. So for a few months now. Now we did have this sideways channel. We did have a little break under it, probably to kick out people with stop losses. And now we're back in it. We are above the 50 MA. Our next attempt is a breakout of 63 cents and then a push towards our 200 MA. What I want to see is I want to see these cross, give us a golden cross. Right now the chart is still bearish. The 200 is pointing down and we are under it. I do think a breakout of 63 cents could change things drastically for Senseonics, and some would argue that this is an accumulation phase. I mean, we have been literally sideways for the last few months now. We haven't been creating new lower levels, and I want to show you what happened with Senseonics before its previous run. You'll see back in 2020 for a few months, very similar. We had this sideways action. We didn't create new lows. We just basically traded extremely sideways. And you can blame it on the overall economy. We had insanely low interest rates combined with charts looking better for small caps, combined with golden crosses left and right, combined with breakouts of previous resistances, and there were many factors combined, but that caused Senseonics to absolutely skyrocket. Once we saw our golden cross, once we broke out of this previous resistance that we were range bound in, we saw an insane move. This was in fact an accumulation phase. And I do have to say, we haven't seen sideways action more pronounced than we see here. Ever since the bear market started, we haven't seen sideways action like this. We haven't seen an accumulation phase like this. And I gotta say, I think the timing is perfect. We have a Fed that's likely to continue a pause. We're probably going to see rate cuts at some point in mid-2024 or possibly later, possibly early 2024 if the inflationary data keeps coming out favorably. I do think things are setting up nice for Senseonics. We are still looking at a bearish chart, but that could quickly change if we can break out of this resistance and start trading over the 200 MA. Next comes a golden cross and then hopefully a continued run from here. But remember guys, this is a high risk stock. They are unprofitable, but Senseonics is continuing to see growing revenue, continuing to see increased adoption of their CGM, and next comes the full year implantable CGM device. I think that's going to be a real game changer for Senseonics and will bring more customers on board. But let me know what you guys think about the earnings results for Senseonics. What do you think about this recent buy rating by H.C. Wainwright? And how are you feeling about the chart? Do you think this is an accumulation phase? Let me know what you think down below. Thanks as always guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.